Hey guys, I'm Andrei, a certified translator and a real estate concierge, mostly all with the prefix X, as you know, and this is the biased video blog from the city of Minsk, Belarus, which is now becoming a hotspot for international headlines again. Of course, all the international events are happening south from here, but I'm covering local events, so let's see what happened recently. As you see, I'm tactically overdressed. That's the recent fashion, not everybody's fashion, but I'm overdressed, so I guess I won't be here for a long time, catching the eyes of the local cops, speaking a lot of foreign words. I'll move to the office to cover the stuff that I would like to present you. As I present the local facts through the past week and today's happenings, I guess I'll be using some F words. I'll be balancing between laughter and cry, because the thing that happens now is from a bad theatrical comedy of some kind, but you know, it doesn't happen in the real life, except it does. And as always, I appreciate your feedback, your comments underneath, the likes, the dislikes, and your point of view, guys. There'll be certain points I'll be checking on with you. It's interesting to know what you think directly, sitting in America, England, wherever, and watching the news. I have to specifically thank all the guys that wired a few coins, and quite a few coins last time. Thank you very much for keeping the channel going, because with little left to do professionally, I guess that's why I'm going online still. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this video.
Well guys, just in case if someone of you is still remembers what COVID is, let's go through the basic routine. I really don't care how many cases we had registered the other day, and the rest COVID related stuff is about no masks, no restrictions. The only restriction for travel is land travel. One cannot come in here even on a visa unless they have a business invitation by land, but traveling outside by air is not really limited, except of course you can only fly via Turkey, Georgia, and a handful other layover points, including Moscow, which is not the handiest one, given that most of you will need a transit Russian visa to come here through Russia. And Russia cannot be used for visa free. That's about it. Otherwise, COVID is gone and done, even officially. As you know from my previous releases, we mostly traditionally save money, local national money, by converting into dollars and euro, which tend to be more stable in the times of unrest. And like many of you may reason, euro and dollar are no longer stable against the local ruble, Belarusian ruble, certainly Russian ruble. They happen to be a bit harder, so we exchange that, and the currency exchange rate is going up every day. The banks and ATMs are empty, so if you're trying to get some dollars from your dollar card from a local ATM, it's a very hopeless enterprise. And in the bank, depending on where it is, you may have some success, but that's very unlikely, because people mostly are either trying to stock up currency or are trying to resolve their other matters. So banks are full of people doing all kinds of things. So if you're coming here, it's best to have cash. The possibilities for transfers are also shrinking. A Revolut transfer system is gone. Western Union seems to be gone. Just this morning I called one of the banks, and that's one of the 3 sanctioned banks here, and the answering machine said, "Sorry guys, we really didn't mean it, but Western Union is gone, so you can't really use it anymore." Here on my expats group, people are discussing the ways of sending the money into Belarus, because out of Belarus you can only send you can't send Belarusian rubles, I guess. It won't get converted by a local bank, and I'm not sure how the outbound transfers are working. But here I'll put a couple of systems and options that the local expats have found to be working for transferring money into Belarus. It's getting a bit harder and harder, but bank transfers and some bank wires from Europe are still working. Different banks here on the ground introduced different limits on withdrawing hard currency. We needn't go down the list of banks and their limits. It just speaks of the shortage, the growing shortage of currency that is running dry because importers need it, and it's required for some international payments, and locals demand it for their little investment. So the hard currency is running dry, and some banks allow only $100 a month to be used without a prior notice. Some demand larger amounts of money to be ordered in advance, and the order will be reviewed within 14 days and executed. You will be able to withdraw say $10,000 from a bank in 2 weeks time, if at all, by the way. So that's becoming more and more fun. And unlike in Russia, we don't yet have bans for bringing currency in or out, so this may be a loophole for somebody, but one has to observe all sorts of requirements related to these operations. Oh yes, and the National Bank seems to have run out of gold bars. They only offer silver and platinum for now, if you were wondering. There are fewer deals for properties and cars, of course, because these are major assets that require a currency deal. Officially, like I told you previously, the deals are processed in Belarusian rubles on the paper, but normally money changes hands the way seller and buyer see that appropriate. And the lack of dollars, or the shortage basically of hard currency, gets people re-evaluate the offers of the market, and some of those overpriced Stalinkas that you may have browsed previously, some of those $500,000 properties may now have gotten a little bit thinner in price. So the traffic cop's office is reported half empty now versus the normal activity of spring. Spring is the beginning of the car purchase season. And with my client, German client, buying a Russian car, Lada is a bit of a apocalypse glimpse, I guess. We're gonna process his car on Monday and take it to the traffic cops on Tuesday. So I'm gonna send you some pictures from there and tell you how it works. Naturally, apartment purchases are going down as well, and the rentals are messed up badly because tenants and landlords normally had arrangements tied up to say $500 but payable in rubles, €700 but payable in rubles, or not necessarily in rubles. That's a private arrangement, but that bond to the exchange rate is a killer because most of the local tenants, I'm not talking about expats, were actually paid in rubles, and their income has been cut short essentially now by about 1/3 by now. So some of the landlords may be reasonable and negotiate the delay or some kind of a off period for the payments. Some may come up with a discount, and some may just screw it over and try and lose a couple of months looking for other tenants who are keen to pay. Our weekly tradition of getting the fuel higher in price, price increases is back again, but now they have the ups by 2 kopecks. You may laugh at that, of course, because right now diesel is about 2 rubles 10 kopecks, which is nothing compared to Western standards. But if I quote you local salaries or local unemployment allowance of $20 a month, you may laugh about this as well. So everything is comparable, and I guess the increases of the fuel price will also result in food price increases, and that would trigger inflation further on. So this is just the beginning. And from my rather, some said, pessimistic report last week, this is just 1 week behind us. 3 or 4 more weeks ahead, then we may get something really, really unpleasant out on the market. Before we continue talking economy, a few political additions. So far, Belarus has no direct involvement in the field. I mean, no field units are filmed, captured, whatever, operating in Ukraine. They are mostly grouping up by the border, officially protecting the borderline. Well, whatever purpose they pursue out there, they're still in Belarus. There's no draft around Belarus. I mean, there is a cycle draft for spring and autumn every year. Men between 18 and 27 are eligible to serve in the army, but there's just no joy of sending these guys anywhere because they can't do much. They can't tell a zero from the rest of the world, and there's no mobilization of the able-bodied men. Normally, if you are younger than 55 and you have some military training, you're supposed to stay on some kind of alert and be ready when the draft office wants to see you, either for exercise or for the real game, but there's none so far, and I hope there won't be any. Related to the events in the south, we had a pretty bad surge for iodine-based pharmacies in Minsk, medications in Minsk. Pharmacies don't really offer many of these now, and the pregnant women specifically need these things just for their normal let's say, supply of vitamins and everything, and they just can't get any because the surge of demand got crowds of people into the pharmacies. Some were piling up their pills and drops that they need for long-term treatment. Some people were just doing their homework just in case, so they grabbed a lot of stuff using the old prices. Now the prices are going up, as we said, and the suppliers are troubled because some won't ship to Belarus, some won't ship in the times of uncertainty. They can't get their cargo insured, and some are just not certain about how much stuff is going to be required because the demand seems to be dying down, and how much should they get a container in here or 10 containers, and how long it's going to sell and at what price. This creates a certain deficit for certain items. So while the health minister said that we have a half a year supply of medications in the warehouses, he didn't really specify how much of the local production will be affected by the sanctions, how much of ingredients will not be supplied here. And I guess there are a few other wrinkles that they overlooked in this official statement. In tourism, things are getting hotter as well because people prepaid their holiday packages. Now I just learned that my brother threw in some $1,000 worth of money for his sandy beach treatment, but there's no sandy beach anymore and he needs to refund. The travel agency is giving him some kind of promises, but today I tried calling them to retrieve the money on his behalf and they're just not picking up. It seems like the monies are gonna be washed down the drain in the worst case scenario. We'll see how it goes, but travel businesses are troubled now. As you know, recently the current president of Belarus just flew to Moscow to have a word with Putin about things, and lately they declined a request for $3 billion loan, which I understand is only enough to keep things going for a couple of months and to restructure the previous debt that keeps accumulating. And the recent request by the Prime Minister from Belarus was to get some support from Russia to basically set off the effects by the Western sanctions, which are going to be growing. It used to be a joke here until recently, but our ancestors in the times of unrest stocked up the basic items like matches, kerosene, soap, cigarettes, alcohol, and some other things like that. Right now, people realize that harsher times are ahead and they are piling up things that they can get in the shops with decent shelf life. And these jokes are now becoming more and more real, let's say. Although not as extreme as buying kerosene for the kerosene lamp, but some people may be looking into that as well. The recent development at our currency exchange here in Belarus is they introduced a free yuan trade, and there's some 100 rubles for yuan or 100 yuan per ruble rate or something like this. You can check this online, I guess. And this is the new reality. The Russian payment system Mir is being introduced here in the shops, and salary cards are being switched from sanctioned banks, from MasterCard and Visa, to this system as well. And it seems like with all the oil deals turning from dollar to alternative currencies, the other hard currencies may not be as stable as they seem.
As you may see yourself, guys, life is moving fast, the planet is turning fast, and the locals who go on normal salary just have to wait and see what happens, maybe stock up some basic supplies. Operators like me or much bigger have to plan and act fast because things change and you have to exchange commodities, plan your moves, and do something about the situation you have on hand. I feel very sorry for our southern neighbors. The war is a bad idea from most of the angles, and let's hope, just like we all do, like we all can, that the things will resolve as fast as they can. I thank you very much for staying with the channel. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your questions down below. My contacts are there as well, so under the video there are donation links and contacts. I hope to see you later someday. Let's say stay safe, travel safely if at all possible, and I hope to see you later down the year. Thank you.